Living Local presents Biz Buzz 413 with your host, Jill Monson.
And before we get started with today's episode of Biz Buzz 413, a couple quick thank you shout outs. Tiger Web Designs, thanks for making us look awesome on the World Wide Web. A thank you to my company, Hop More, confidence coaching and training done differently. And of course, a huge thank you to livinglocal413.org. Welcome back into another awesome episode of Biz Buzz 413. I am your host, Jill Monson. We are making our way through the winter months, all keeping our fingers crossed that someday spring will come. I promise it will, and it comes so beautifully here in the 413. So Biz Buzz 413 is part of Living Local 413's initiative that was founded by Bill Cole, and the mission, the whole goal is to take all four of our counties, all of them, Hampden, Hampshire, Franklin, and Berkshire counties, and get us all, quite honestly, on the same page to talk about what is needed from an economic and a business standpoint to be able to all sort of tug on the same rope, if you will. And so we are doing this podcast in an effort to make sure that we're handling the topics you want to hear about. And we're talking about all sorts of things. I don't always know, though, what you want to hear about. So if you want to share with me, I would love that. You can actually email and share, if you have a topic idea, if you want to be a guest, send them over, and you could do so to Biz Buzz, that's one Z and then two, so BIZBUZZ at livinglocal413.org. And I would like to take just a moment to thank our groundbreaker sponsor, Home City Development. They've been building better neighborhoods since, 1967. It's incredible. Based out of Springfield, Mass., Home City believes everyone deserves a quality home, and they've been doing that for more than 50 years, helping families find that stability and pride, and quite frankly, communication in a place that they can call home. And that, we all know, builds the economy. So thank you to Home City. So if you weren't there, you missed it. And I'm sorry, but what are you doing? Put it calendar today. What am I talking about? The 413 Entrepreneur Spotlight. In partnership with Living Local Common Capital, each month we are offering you this amazing free opportunity to get together with other amazing entrepreneurs and to talk about issues and concerns and things going on, and to meet new organizations, maybe new, maybe not. New to you, new to me was the one that we just had last week, the Black Economic Council of Massachusetts, BECMA. They were our partner. And this coming month, I'm going to give you the date, again, put it in your calendar, March 12th, we have perfectly aligned. I mean, Common Capital helps with the list and they're so smart. Women's History Month. We are partnering with the Center for Women and Enterprise. And so it's a mouthful. We'll just call it CWE, Center for Women and Enterprise. And today, my guest is here to tell us all about CWE as a preview. We still want you to come to the event. We have Gabrielle, also known to her friends, and I'm considering myself a friend, Gaby King Morse, President and CEO of the CWE. Good day to you, Gaby. How are you?
Thank you so much, Jill. I am feeling pretty good. It's really nice to be on the show.
It's so great to have you. And I have to tell people how this happened. So I had gone to, every year, the Center for Women and Enterprise has this big event where they invite businesses to come, and you get a chance to meet with procurement individuals from really large companies, the CVS, if you will, of the world, or the insurance companies, et cetera, right?
That's right.
Like, do these little pitches and all this, right? And so then this woman comes running up to me, and I'm like, who are you? She was the big cheese. And I was like, I'm so embarrassed. So I was so excited that Gaby, you wanted to be on the cast.
Hey, I'm nothing if not wanting to be on a stage. So hopefully this will be relevant to your listeners.
It absolutely will be.
The business summit where we met, there's two things. There's definitely connecting entrepreneurs, and we focus on women entrepreneurs, and we also veteran-owned businesses. But that day, not only are we connecting entrepreneurs to bigger procurement opportunities, but there's education all throughout the day. So that happens in the fall. Last year was at Bridgewater State. This year it's going to be at Holy Cross. I think it's October 7th, so there's plenty of time.
Oh, perfect. I was like, I got to get that date.
Check us out.
Yeah, I got to get the date on the calendar.
Yep, you get the date on.
Just so you know, because of conferences like yours, I go once a month to Florida to babysit the old people, my parents. And I was doing it on the first week of the month. And because of conferences like yours, I've changed because I have to miss the Massachusetts LGBT
Oh,
event that's
yes.
coming up because I won't be here. So starting in May, I'm going to be going at the end of the month. So if you're listening, please don't have anything fun at the end of the month because I won't be here.
Okay, noted. We're all taking notes here.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So let's back up because possibly there are listeners who may not be familiar. So can you share? I always start with this, 30,000-foot view of what the Center for Women Enterprise is. And, I guess, definitely why your work matters for the broader, economy of the state and the region. And, how do you differ? Like, are you just another, like, and not just another, because I love my chamber partners, but like, are you a chamber or how are you different? So talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Center for Women in Enterprise, we just celebrated last year our 30th year. It was founded to
Look, I stay over 29.
and I've been there for almost 7, which is amazing.
Wow.
But the focus of the organization is to help women entrepreneurs with whatever their next step is. So traditionally, I would say most of our history, we kind of were focusing on too many things. You probably heard
Yeah,
organizations that
yeah.
are doing too many things. Last year, we, due to lots of different circumstances, but really I think it's a good thing. We are so much more focused now on businesses that already have revenue. So we have some supports for absolute startups and we can help refer you, but our real focus is in making sure if you did all the things that you needed to do, you have a viable product or service, and you want to either get help on sustaining or help on growing, we're going to put everything we have to bear to support you. And that can look like someone who has a full-time job and they have a side hustle
Hmm.
and maybe they want to keep it a side hustle. It does, that's up to her. But if she's looking to have a better connection in terms of other business owners and things like that, if you're working full time and you have a side hustle, sometimes it's hard to network. So can we help you with that?
Right.
If you need someone who's an expert in your industry, can we help you with that? Maybe you're looking to leverage this into a full-time business for yourself. Can we help you with that? So that's really the focus. What is unique, honestly, is that we are focusing on a particular group of entrepreneurs, which is women.
Right.
It's anyone who identifies as a woman. And it's what does she need? What does she want? And,
Yeah.
you know, different groups have different needs. And actually, every entrepreneur has a different need. But we do find that when we get women together to learn or women together to network,
Yeah.
business happens. And it makes sense, right?
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
It makes sense that when you're in an environment that you feel comfortable, you're going to be able to connect easier, be more vulnerable to get to that answer. And there's going to be someone in the room, we hope, and this is what we try to make happen more often than not. There's going to be someone in the room who's maybe just enough or a couple of steps ahead of you that can share some wisdom and I'm sure then you reciprocally, in turn
Yeah.
can share your wisdom. And how do we build together? About 5 years ago, we started partnering with the Massachusetts Competitive Partnership to do more in Western Mass. We sort of all over New England, but we didn't have as much connection with Western Mass. We basically worked, if a partner out there referred us, great. But when we were talking with different business owners out in Western Mass and also with different partners, like Common Capital,
Yeah.
what we heard over and over again was we don't need another organization that's in the startup phase. We really need an organization that can help us in the sustainability and growth stage. And so, in a sense, Western Mass helped us to understand that it wasn't just Western Mass that wanted that. It was actually our entire footprint. But that was the first place we really started having the capacity to gather information, data, and stories from the women that we were supporting. This was about 5 years ago. And so in Western Mass, we really with partners, we do a class called Power Forward, which is really focused on a business that's already up and running. And we saw so much success and so much demand in Western Mass that now we do it all the way across our network on a regular basis.
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy that we could oblige and help you with the strategic direction. No, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense because I used to own a company for years, and then I say recently 3 years ago now started my new company Pop More, and it's fascinating because I do find that there are what I feel like is a lot of recommendations that people make for that beginning level entry level startup phase resources and help, and that's great, it is important, but I get very frustrated sometimes because I'm like, I don't need to do that basic level again because I've done that with my previous company. Now I need what you're saying, and I think that's really important. I also want to acknowledge and appreciate that you mentioned anyone who identifies as a woman, because I have been going through a lot of soul searching and conversation around gender and constructs and the idea of, is there all of the different groups. I'm a member of the Massachusetts LGBT chamber, and, I have friends who are of different backgrounds and in different organizations that assimilate their background. And I've had these conversations about, is it good or is it bad, right? Meaning, are we, if we want to activate change as women and we are in a group of all women, are we actually activating that change? And I think there's something to be said for both, for having the groups that bring everyone together and having the groups that allow you to have like-minded, people that look like you, sound like you, experience similar things. So to that end, I did want to ask you about you, but it sort of led me, what you were talking about, to wonder, you know, you've been with this organization, only you said like about 7 years, but in general, the organization's been around for 3 decades. So what have you seen over the last, over your years and as an organization over the last few decades of how the landscape has, evolved for women entrepreneurs, and where do you still see some of the biggest gaps?
I wish I could say that it's changed so much that it's, I would love for it to be unrecognizable from 20 years ago. But unfortunately, I think, and we're experiencing this right now with some of the political climate, this idea that everyone's the same doesn't help particular groups. And so I like also what you said about you need to have both. We need to bring everyone together, but we also need to allow people to have spaces where they can really just, I don't know, let it all hang out, because that's where we get to some truths for ourselves and some ways to move forward.
Yeah.
What's interesting, and I wish I had some board members here. I have some board members that have been involved since the very beginning, and they're remarkable, like some of the, pioneers, first women to be able to, have their own checking account, first women on corporate boards, first women on this, on that, right? So we can't ignore the progress we've made. On the other hand, like, we need to be super clear that access to capital is a problem, and we're not going to solve it by just saying it anymore. I think that's what we all do. We just go like, oh, access to capital is a problem. I was like, we are going to dedicate, and we're doing projects around access to capital. Women, there's a huge transfer of wealth. Women could solve this problem for women entrepreneurs. There's so many different ways to think about this, yet we keep on going back to the same, let's talk to the banks. They've got to do better. Well, look, yeah, of course, but they're never going to do what we actually want to see. And that's not even a ding on them. It's just like they have, well, unless they'd have to break out of their comfy structure that they're in, right? But there's, so we just have to work together and just be really clear about what is reality. I mean, when I came into working on women's economic empowerment and entrepreneurship in particular, I was blown away by the lack of data that focuses on women versus just entrepreneurs in general, which is crazy to me, but I shouldn't be surprised, right? There's a data gap for women in so many areas, but I had come from college affordability where our ability to really make systemic change was based on actual data, and which is numbers and stories. So that's one thing that CWE is really working hard to do, is be better with our own data. And we do a lot more qualitative and quantitative gathering, but also to influence others that are doing research that are, we're not a research institution. That's not what we do. But we can say to research institutions, let's say it's City of Boston doing a research project or the City of Springfield, please collect all that data. This is an amazing project so we can understand our small businesses. Let's make sure that we can disaggregate by background, ethnicity, gender, all of those things so that we can learn, because we need to understand what our entrepreneurs actually need and want. And an example of why not disaggregating is such a problem is that if you're doing a study, let's say in the City of Boston, and you don't include solopreneurs and side hustles, and you're trying to understand the economic impacts of small business owners and what's at stake, if you don't look at side hustles and solopreneurs, you're basically saying women are not on the map here.
Right. No,
and those businesses send our kids to college, keep our communities like vibrant and inspire the next generation. It's not that the bigger companies don't. They do, of course they do, but they have different needs. And so many entrepreneurs, and again, it could be women, it could be, it doesn't have to be, but we do see that women tend to focus on the whole wraparound vision of their lives and their families.
Right.
So they tend to build businesses that are more community centered. Now she can have hockey stick growth, get venture capital, and hire everyone in Southeast Asia. That's fine too, but we find that that's 0.00001%.
Well, also it's having having options, right? Like, and it's so fascinating because you talk about the lack of data. And I was just recently blown away. I was listening to one of my heroes do a podcast, and Mel Robbins, and she was talking. She had a doctor on whose name is escaping me right this second, but they were talking about well-being for women, specifically women over 50, but that the data is all on men. So this idea of and this, I don't want to take us completely off topic, but the idea of if you're a woman trying to do the wake up and fast thing, that's not actually good for a woman's system. That's based on male science. And it was fascinating because I never thought about it. The science, I just assumed the science was based on both genders if it was being put out, right? And I think that that's a little bit of our problem as any minority group, is that we take the information we're given as this gospel instead of going, okay, great, and can you break it down for me, and then digging in. And also, sadly, and this is a gender construct, but as women we tend to be more accommodating to the people pleasing role of, okay, thank you for giving me this data, but we don't want to actually say this data is crap, right? So there is a lot to unpack there. So yes, having data.
There's a ton.
Yeah.
And I would just say, for any of your listeners or you who wants to go down this rabbit hole, I highly recommend a book by Caroline Criado Perez. It's called Invisible Women: Exposing Data Bias in a World Designed for Men.
Interesting.
And this really helped me in our work at the Center for Women in Enterprise, because it's really sort of the system. We even don't think about disaggregating. Women don't think about disaggregating by gender, just as you were saying.
Right.
And the more we can do it, the more we'll know better how to support women and men.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
Well, and it's the conversation around also the fact that, and I've been saying this for years, right? Like, you need the right men at the table. You need, in any group, right? Like, the reason the LGBTQA is, you need the allies. You need the person who understands that there is a discrepancy between A and B, whichever A and B group you're talking about, men and women, white individuals and brown skinned individuals, whatever it is, right? You need the A, you need that ally, because otherwise you can't move systemic change. So one thing I want to ask, because I don't want to run out of time, and this is important. You, as an organization, the CWE, you offer a lot. There's you can't possibly tell us everything coming up, so people are gonna have to go to the website, and I will put the website in the chat notes for the podcast. But you offer trainings, counseling, certification, networking. I mean, you're offering a lot. So can you share a little bit about what's coming up, and besides the fact that you'll be the 413 Entrepreneur Spotlight on March 12th. But what else do you have coming up?
As you said, there's a lot happening. I think the key is to get on the website because we do these power forward classes. So if you're a woman entrepreneur who's really looking for that next kind of the time and space to create that strategic growth plan or sustainability plan, take a look at that. And we totally understand and value that your time is the most expensive thing you have.
Yes.
So it may not fit for what you need, and that's fine. We definitely have webinars and one-offs. We have a new program that we're piloting right now, which we call the Cultivated Experience. I guess we're trying to raise up but really what that is about is.
But Gaby, when you say it like that with the Cultivated Experience, it sounds so regal. So go on.
It's so regal. But what I love about it is it's you really spending your time well because you'll get a one-on-one consultant. And
nice.
When you're already up and running, you need someone who can start to really understand your business. So someone with a background in entrepreneurship. And we have some amazing pro bono consultants that have, built a number of companies. If you have a really specific industry, we're going to really try to connect you with someone who has relevance to that industry. But again, this is something we're launching, but if that's something that interests you, we want, please take a look at that. We also do certification. So if you're a woman-owned business.
I don't want to interrupt, but I do want to ask because in my previous life with my old company, I was certified women-owned. And it was a lot.
Yep,
but
it was a lot.
It was beneficial. Because, for instance, and I want people to hear this, at the time I was a advertising agency and event planning company. I became certified women-owned, and I had MGM as a client.
Exactly.
Because of it. So please explain just briefly, what the certification process is, but also how you guys play in and why it's so important.
So the thing that's really important is that it's a marketing tool. So for any woman-owned business, you need to assess whether it's the right marketing tool for you. I would never tell every woman-owned business they need to be certified because they may not need to be. If you're a woman-owned business where you would like to get access to buyers for larger procurement opportunities, whether that be with corporations or it could be with cities and municipalities, right? So it could be with the state of Massachusetts. Then you're going to need to do your due diligence to get certified. You don't have to.
But it helps. It really does.
But it can help you tremendously. And the thing I would recommend, and I think, as you said, Jill, it's a lot of paperwork. So it's not something you go into lightly. And the way that I think you assess whether certification is the right way for you to go is find someone in your industry who's really successful, who's a woman, and find out if she did or didn't, why she did get certified or why she didn't. Talk to 3 of those because it may be that for you to have access to even talk to these suppliers and the buyers to potentially get these contracts, they're only going to look at certified owned businesses.
Right.
And so if that's the case, okay, well, that helps inform you. There's industries like food where I've been learning that if you are a viable food product and you're local and you serve a certain demographic, there are plenty of food distributors who might be really interested in you.
Right.
Without certification, right? That was me talking to Ahold or UNFI. So it really depends. But if you assess and say, you know what, certification would really help me, reach out to us.
Well, and I think your team can also help have a conversation, maybe not as specific as industry, but you can leverage the experience of your team. Your team is awesome. And being able to say, we've seen a lot of success. I'm thinking of, Phenomenal Jays out in Western Mass. And being certified women owned was very beneficial. Dri Umbrellas, I've interviewed Dri Umbrellas, and there's a lot to say for certification. So I think it's worth looking into without a doubt. I will say, and then I want to ask you one last question because I'm going too long and Bill's going to kill me. But I will tell you just a funny Jill thing because people that listen to this podcast now know that sometimes there's a little adult humor. So when I got certified women owned, This is back 150 years ago. Just kidding. But they say, that you do all the paperwork and everything. And then they say, okay, we have to schedule an interview. And I was like, okay. So the woman comes out for the interview and she sits down in my office. This was again with my old company. And I go, okay, we're chit chatting. And I go, so at what point do you whip out the stirrups? And she goes, huh? And I was like, well, I thought you were here to check if I was a woman. I'm kidding, of course. But so definitely reach out to CWE for certification. This is my final question for you as we wrap up. You talked about cultivated experience. In addition to that, what else is on the horizon for CWE? Any other new initiatives or strategic priorities that you really want to share about?
I would say for the entrepreneur, we're going to be doing more. We already have when you're taking courses or classes with us, you're sort of on an online portal, and that's a connector to other women. The thing we try to do, whether it be in person or online, is we want to connect you to more people in a way that works for you. And different people need different things. This portal, which again, I think for us has been under leveraged, and I think we're going to invest more in. But we see a huge spike. Once you're on that portal, you've taken a class, you could connect with any other women that have been on that portal, right? It's kind of like a private LinkedIn, right? It's not that crazy. I'm sure there's many examples of that. But what we saw is that conversations spike between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. And what
shock me.
Right. Like it doesn't shock us. What it communicates, though, is CWE cannot be there at that time. But guess who is?
Yep.
Other women are there. They're up with their child, or they're up because they're worrying about something about their business. And if we can build that so that community is there for you when you need it, that's one of the best things. So it's not right on the horizon, but it's something we think about a lot.
I love that. That's awesome.
I would say the last thing about certification to think about is the network and the education. So the other thing is talk to women that are in WeBank. It's called WeBank certification, but they offer incredible education on the national level that once you're certified is pretty much free, and it's unbelievable. And that's something to consider. There's many women that get certified that never get a larger contract, and they continue to be certified because of the network.
Yeah, because of that connectivity. That's so important. Before we go, share the website for CWE, and also if people can email you, because if they're interested in something you mentioned, they can go on the website or potentially email you. Will you share that for us?
Yes, it is cweonline.org. So you need to throw that online in there. And then my email is G, like Gaby, K, Morse, GK Morse, at cweonline.org.
And I will put it in the notes so people have it. So Gaby King Morse, President and CEO of the Center for Women in Enterprise, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And before we know it, what's going on with my, sorry about that. Before we know it, you are going to be in town. I'm not sure if you're coming or who in the team is coming, because you got a lot and you guys are always spread every which direction. But somebodies from the CWE will be here on March 12th. So sign up today. Go to the Living Local 413's platform and sign up so that you can join us.
Yes, please. We'd love to see you there. It's probably going to be one of my program folks who really can connect you.
Oh, I love that. It's perfect. So thank you for listening. This is BizBuzz 413, and I am your host, Jill Monson. We can't do it without our groundbreaker sponsor, Home City Development. So thank you to them. And also stay tuned. Coming up on hopefully the next episode, although I never know because my life is, nuts. But coming up, we're talking about credit and credit counseling. And I'm going to be taking some very good notes during that episode, so stay tuned. And last but not least, before you go, remember, when you wake up tomorrow morning, you get the pleasure and the bonus of being able to say you're waking up in the best part of the country, the 413. Awesome day, everyone.
BizBuzz 413 was brought to you by Living Local.